Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rest is Lean podcast. As ever, I am joined by my merry mates. We've got Russell Watkins and we've got Alan Lothian, and together with me, John D, we laughingly call ourselves lean professionals,
Oh,
but we like to talk about, chat about, debate, and ramble around the subject of lean, continuous improvement, OPEX, insert your own favourite phrase for change, essentially. Um, Working out what makes things stick, how it works, where the bear traps are, all that sort of good stuff. Hope you're enjoying it. We've had a lot of new subscribers lately, so welcome to all of them. Please feel free to put a comment in the description below this or any of the other videos. So, boys, all happy?
always happy, John, when you're around.
Russell doesn't look happy, but yeah, it could be his resting face for all I know.
Concentrate
Mild,
my faces,
mildly happy. It's about 100 degrees in here, but
It's a little bit hot for the
yeah,
UK just lately, isn't it?
especially
But
for gingers like me.
well muggy, yeah. Alan is obviously of northern heritage with transparent skin and glowing hair,
model heritage.
Is it,
which is not well suited
Is it
to.
Nordic traits? Is that what it
That's
is?
it, Nordic traits, better suited to very long nights.
Get moonburn.
Um, I've got a question. It's actually paraphrased from a couple of questions we received from our subscribers. So you'll recognize who you are, folks. Um, can you do too much lean? Can you have too much Kaizen? Um, what do we think? Can you actually do too much?
Good question. It'll come back. It'll come down to what you define as lean. If you are talking if you consider lean to be a series of tools in a toolbox that you deploy to try to get one-off benefits, then yes, you can do too much lean. Because whatever you put in, you've got to sustain it, and you have to standardize it, etc. However, if you consider lean to be a mindset where you're always thinking about how do we deliver value to the customer better whilst making life easier
Hmm.
for the people who deliver that value, it's hard to see that you can do too much of that. What I will say though is that there is a rate of change consideration here, and that you've got to be careful that people have a chance to try stuff, get used to it, and not be constantly overwhelmed with trying to improve their job at the expense of doing their job.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one way of interpreting the question, and an interesting way is you could do too much because you would be changing so much there was no time anymore to make wheels,
Yeah.
or to actually see if what you changed had worked because we're moving on again. What do you think, Al? Can you do too much lean? Too much
I
Kaizen?
think you've got like most questions that we get, there's going to be a yes and a no. And a lot of it, I agree with Russ. I think no, you can never have too much of it, particularly if it's engaging with your workforce, you're making life easier for them. They see it.
Yeah.
And particularly if you start as a start for tennis, you're making the environment and what they do day to day safer, and the product is getting that little bit better. So you're improving safety and quality. All right. Um, where I think we do too much or can do too much, and I've mentioned this on a couple of pods in the past, is I think we do too much in some businesses which are without a clear improvement strategy.
Yeah.
So you guys know that I've done a lot of work in the past with theory of constraints.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've mentioned on previous pods where I go into so many businesses, and I'm guilty of doing this myself, in the sense of the drive is to improve, but we're improving in the wrong areas. We're not generating additional sales or additional throughput. All we're actually doing is building up work and work in progress in other areas
Mm.
of the business.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so that makes sense. So that's all about misplaced lean effort.
Exactly. And that's back to the strategy. So thinking around. So again, you guys have said it's having that the eureka moment that I had was blending theory of constraints with all the good stuff that we all got taught and have continued to be taught through our Masters,
Mhm.
okay, and elsewhere. Um, and that came about for me working back in industry and having the opportunity at a senior management level to actually say, look, take a step back. I've got to own this now. My neck's on the chopping block.
Mm.
How do I make a significant difference? All right. For me, and again, you guys can shoot me down, is I see that this is where the subtle difference of continuous improvement and lean manufacturing comes in the sense of I rightly or wrongly see the continuous improvement. Look, let's build the engagement, let's build the mindset, a bit like 2 second lean that you guys have mentioned in the past with 2 second leans. You're trying to create an environment where there's always an opportunity to make something that little bit better every single day. All
Mm.
right. And if we focus around safety and quality, I think that's a very, very good priority that you can cascade down simply and quickly through the business. Mhm.
What's your
Um,
view, John?
Mm.
I think I got two ways of interpreting the broad question in my head and two sort of answers. One very much I think I'm aligned with Al.
Well,
Different.
that's a first, John.
It's bound to happen eventually. You do enough episodes, we're going to agree. Um, but no, I think can you should you ever stop looking for improvements, coming up with opportunities? I think no, because that's a habit. That's a
Good.
feel
Really good.
that you've got to develop. It's a passion. It's a culture you're trying to grow
Yeah.
within the business. So, but to sort of lean into Al's description on that, I think the way to make that work is you are constantly encouraging it. You're constantly rewarding, even if it's with a pat on the back,
Mm.
people coming up with the ideas and the requests. But you've got to insert this virtual hopper
Mm.
such that you've got all of this opportunity in your opportunity hopper.
Yeah.
It only works for an ex-Brummie to say that. Um, and you only take out the bottom of the hopper, the stuff that's going to matter,
Yeah.
depending on what you're trying to achieve, what's hurting the business, what the strategy is at the moment.
Mhm.
The exception being safety. So there's that angle very much. Can you do too much lean? I don't think you can encourage it enough.
No, but John,
Mhm.
you've made a couple of really good points there about habit, because habit was where I was going next. Something Al
Mm.
said spurred me. Habit, and you kept saying you've got to constantly recognize, you've got to constantly do things. You're effectively talking habit again. It got me thinking. Have I mentioned to you before that I come up with my own definition of lean over time?
You said it's
Mhm.
it's changed a few times.
I'm on number 19, and number 19, and some of them are utter bollocks. I mean, it's just it reflects where I was at that point in time.
Mm.
Number 19 is all we're actually trying to do with lean is embed useful habits.
Yeah.
That's where I'm currently at. Now, useful habits can be individually somebody or people doing something at their level that is habitual,
Mm.
that is useful for the business, or it can be the business habitually looking for the constraint, identify the constraint, elevate it,
Mhm.
exploit it, etc. So it's just either the people have a habit or the business has a habit. Now, the funny
Yeah.
thing about habits is that to embed a habit and see the reward of it, you need to give it a bit of time. So
Yes.
if you're constantly changing, there is a tension between always changing stuff and not having time to embed a habit, unless your habit is to constantly change stuff. And I start thinking about Tesla and the fact that Tesla, because of the nature of the cars and the ability to update 6 million lines of code over the over the cloud, means that they're not asked about model year releases now and saving it all for a cut-in. They are basically doing it on the fly so that everyone is essentially electronically bespoke craftsmen.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, that provides another series of problems because your recalls or technical bulletins go up.
Mhm.
Yeah. You don't know the status of every car you've sold because they're more or less all different and they've changed since you sold them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, do you know there is an adjacent question here? Can I extend the question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a good question. And the adjacent question is, overnight this morning, I read in the news that a fella called Armand Duplantis, who is a pole vaulter, Swedish
Mm.
pole vaulter, he's just broken the pole vault record again.
Right.
and he's broken it 13 times now. It's now
What
6.29
nationality did you
meters.
say?
Say what?
What nationality?
Swedish, I think.
I think I watched him at I don't know, some games I was watching on TV recently, and it
Yeah.
was it was like he was playing a different sport with a different length of pole.
Incredible. He reminded me of Sergei Bubka, who was a Ukrainian, then a Soviet pole vaulter back in the 80s, who was known for raising the pole vault world record by 1 centimeter at a time. Now the question is why 1 centimeter at a time? And it's because of the way he was incentivized. Got a bonus based off every time he broke the world records. Yeah. So there is something interesting there about an amount of Kaizen and rationing Kaizen
Yes.
depending on your incentives and your KPIs. But what it took me back to immediately this morning, sipping my brew, was Mixan, Toshiyuka Moroka, Alan and I's Japanese sensei. He stunned me a few times, generally with verbal abuse, but the one time he stunned me with his thinking way was when he told me that yes, indeed, in Toyota, it isn't a land of milk and honey, and in the Kamigo plant, they would ration the amount of Kaizen they let the manager know about. So if they identified a 5% saving in something, they'd hand him 2%, knowing that human nature means that if they handed him 5% straight away, he'd want 5%
Yes.
again next year.
Yes.
The one reading of that is that, well, if you're being all airy-fairy, you should create a culture where people are completely open. And the other one is, yeah, but human nature don't work that way.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's really good. You picked on it earlier on, Russ. Just picking up from John's point earlier, it's about there's a sustainability angle to this as well, isn't there? Because you could argue you can be a victim of your own success, and what I mean by that is you create an environment where you've engaged your workforce and you're highlighting all this opportunity to improve. And then that's a very dangerous place to be, where that hopper is absolutely brimming with opportunity.
Go
If
manage
you're
it.
not careful, if you don't manage and prioritize that and communicate back, these are the ones we're going to pick, and this is the reason
Yeah.
why, you can lose that velocity of I've missed that phrase, but the velocity of change. You lose the mindset. People say, well, you're just ignoring me.
Yeah.
I've had these great ideas, and each individual thinks their idea is going to be the best thing since sliced bread, and it's
And
how
there are
you
and there,
dampen it down. Yeah,
And there are ways of doing that, Al. One
it
one
is.
is, as you say, communicating back, look, we're going to focus on these ones. The other is putting the power in their hands to say, for these kind of things, you just do it if it makes
Yeah, yeah,
life
yeah, yeah,
easier.
yeah, yeah. You've got to have
You
like a
don't,
rules of engagement, having it almost like a
yeah,
level.
like
Yeah,
a form function fit change management piece. But you don't need a Kaizen promotion office. You don't need a lean coordinator specialist to come along and make a cardboard bin for you.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You just really dread the freedom to be able to try things in a safe, controlled environment, isn't it? To try things and learn from that way. Yeah,
But
you're right.
But Mick Sam was talking about he was talking about I think above that above the Gemba power shop floor he was talking about where for example you have look we have to improve quality by X% this year where a group leader or a manager makes a choice to ration to their boss and keeps a bit in their back pocket. It happens all the time,
Mm,
and it's a stupid question. Is that a good or a bad thing?
mm.
The self-preservation
Aspect of it all, yeah.
technique.
Uh,
So we've got to understand why people are doing it. What's the well-meant intent? The well-meant intent is I'm going to get hammered for being good
mhm,
by being asked for more.
Yeah.
So for my sanity, for the ability to look after my people a little bit more, to protect them from pressure as well, I'm going to I'm going to be safe in what we
mhm.
deploy and have my little bit of treasure in an easy to find location.
Yeah.
Oh, I found something more. Um, so I think it's very easy to understand the well-meant intent behind it. So I'm certainly not going to criticize. Not going to
I
criticize.
agree with you there,
I
John. And
think
being
that
funny though,
the
I'd love to have people in my team
mm,
who are that level.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? To be at that level where they know what 5% is. They know that, and they know again. We mentioned the previous one, managing
yeah,
upwards. They know what 5% looks like, but they only want to give away 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's two things to that. To actually have a good understanding of your area and your processes and know the difference between 2 and 5.
Yes.
I mean, even that's a lot of work.
You've
You know,
got
going back to our
sharp
attributes.
team leaders, Kaizen
Exactly.
experts, operatives, whatever, who are able to do the reverse engineer of the benefits
Exactly.
to
Exactly.
match the request. So
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think if you're the CEO of that business and by magic you're able to recognize this problem, I'm not sure it is a problem. It's just
Human nature, partially,
Mm,
but
mm,
uh,
mm.
and you are able to recognize that as well-meant intent. Do not criticize. What you've got to do is say, I could make this business slicker if I can remove the reasons that that person goes and buries those other hazelnuts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So, is it about changing the culture of the business to say, when we ask for 5% improvement in productivity on a particular area, you are also saying, and that is the target for this year. And if we can beat that, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And maybe there's even a complimentary pizza. But you've got to set your stall out correctly and also say that's the requirement for this year. In other words, yeah, I'm dead impressed. Can I have some more, please? But I've got to go, you've delivered it in April. I asked for it by the end of the year. Got me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I get
Over
that.
deliver.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I mean, particularly you've got public limited companies and shareholders that they'll always want more. What you can't afford is to not hit it
Yeah.
because then
So
you share
I
share
think
price.
it's something that
Mm.
companies have to learn from, but it's a
Yeah,
fabulous
yeah,
problem to have.
yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
That's what you've got to understand as a CEO is say, he's not going, that little bugger is hiding improvements. What? Why is he doing that? Because he knows that you're going to drive him like crazy to deliver on that, which is extra strain and stress, rather than if he gave you a lot, be super complimentary of how well they've done and not then smash him over the head with a shovel and say, get down the mine and find some
Yeah,
more.
yeah. And there's a couple of things in that, John. And one is people understanding the reason why it's a relentless year-on-year thing,
Yes.
and the second is um, being ready for when a crisis comes along or creating a crisis. So that first one about knowing why it's relentless. So we spent our formative years drawing that cost plus cost down chart that said
Yeah.
why do we do lean, and the rationale is yes we want to reduce costs, yes we want to reduce lead time, but essentially because we have to, because if we don't, someone else is going to do it.
Mhm,
Steam pastors take our customers.
mhm,
So that understanding that there is an existential threat always, and that gets turned up to
mhm,
11 sometimes, and it gets turned down to 2 sometimes, depending on how we're doing in our market and macroeconomic factors.
mhm,
People understanding that, look, he's not asking me every year because he's being horrible to me or she's been horrible to me. It's because the business needs to improve. So that's
mhm,
one thing.
mhm,
The other thing is, and what Toyota were probably very good at, is how you frame the question. So it's that when in the absence of a crisis, how do you create a crisis to focus minds? Or how do you make sure you can unlock people's potential when the crisis comes along?
Mm.
And that example I think I talked about before. Have I mentioned the MR50 example?
Not November then.
Don't know what an MR50 is. I'm going to go for no.
So I didn't live it. I was told it by a pal of mine from Tota, and there was a Hoshin's drive, so a target for the year that was framed as right. This year the theme is MR50, maintenance reduction 50.
Oh, okay.
Now, maintenance reduction 50. That is a beautiful way of framing it because it's nice and vague, but it's just specific enough because to one person, that will mean 50% less visits to each machine because it's broken, unplanned
Yeah.
visits. To another one, it will mean 50% less spares in the maintenance spares area. To another person, it will mean 50% less maintenance people or whatever. But setting the strive to that Pascal Dennis thing, something for the head, something for the heart, setting a strive to tickle people's creativity muscles and then letting them go with it wherever they want, wherever takes their fancy. That, I think, is how you can get
Very
people to deliver a
interesting
bit
way
more.
of putting things.
Mm-hmm.
You've defined, I want change and I want to be better. You've alluded to a quantity, but really not tied it down to a unit that anybody can say, oh, it's this type of improvement. Yeah, you're not stifling creativity.
No.
That is a really, really good way of going.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of my answer, I said I got two ways of interpreting the question.
Sorry, John.
So that was A. B, I heard the question, and like I say, it was asked in different ways by different people. Can you do too much Kaizen? I also interpret it as, can you put in too many people, events, structure, departments that are your continuous improvement folk and facilities? And I think that one is square yes,
Yeah.
unless you are a very large organization, a Toyota-esque organization. I think that it's very easy to put in too many lean people, too many lean forums, too many facilitators, all that sort of stuff. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes a cottage industry all of its own.
It does.
It starts to have a cost
Yeah.
just at tick over. It's even got a cost in terms of recruiting and training and retaining those people.
Can be
And
divisive as well in ego terms. Carry on, John.
absolutely. But I think the biggest challenge for it is going back to my point one, it doesn't necessarily help the culture and the habit in the business, because the more you've got people and departments and functions related to CI, the less people feel that they should be coming up with the ideas and fixing some of those ideas themselves,
Yeah.
because oh, have you had a good idea? Wait for the CI guys to come around, discover
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Plus, they'll come and demand that we engage with them and come up with ideas. Guess what? We're not going to deploy this idea.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get Shake to go on a course and
And
have an event. I'll
yeah.
save it for then.
And the ownership becomes a problem. But there is a way to manage that, John. And the best way I've seen it managed is with not a huge Kaizen promotion office with staff with lean queens like us, but with a small Kaizen department.
Yeah,
Now, previously, that was a couple of people who were decent fitters, who were in who were very good at putting a rector racking together and that kind of thing.
yeah,
And the contract, if you like, in inverted commas, there was that somebody online or a team leader or a maintenance person comes up with an idea and says, "Wouldn't it be good if I could make a chute that did this, or a Karakuri device
mm,
that drop my parts down?" They've got the idea. It's their idea. They then go to the Kaizen department and say, "Can you help me build it? Because I'm stuck online,
yeah,
or I'm
yeah.
managing this." And then there is a collaboration to
Mm-hmm.
make that thing.
Yes.
That's 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 the analog world equivalent, and that will always be thus. The digital equivalent is you have somebody in the business who is a citizen developer. They're good at low code, no code,
Mm,
where people can go to and say, "Can you make me a low code, no code app that will interrogate this and that and show me this output so
yeah,
that I can do this?"
yeah. I've
Mm-hmm.
come up with the scenario I want to happen, but I don't know what magic makes it happen.
Make it so.
Mm-hmm.
Specialists to help me.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
that's the skills of a cross-functional team. Then it's knowing who's got that, who can plug each of those little gaps, isn't it? It's you mentioned before structure. You said, John.
mm,
The other thing I was going to add to earlier on was um, too much sheep dip.
yeah,
So we think like we've got to take every employee in the whole business through a basic lean overview
mm,
session, you
mm,
know, or they've got to go through every single topic around lean because that's going to,
yeah,
initially aid the business. I'm not so sure that is the case. And then in terms of your Kaizen teams or change agents, however you want to call them, I think a lot of it is not about their technical competence around waste elimination, SMED, whatever it might be. A lot of it is behavioral, how to think differently, how to engage with people. So a lot of businesses see if they've got CI teams, I see so many of them are there to train others
Hmm.
and not part of it. By training, I mean chalk and talk, slide deck, 7 wastes or 8 wastes, 5S, blah, 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 blah. But actually, it's the cultural and engagement aspect
Yeah.
to create the environment where they do feel comfortable. Coming back to Russ's point then, where that operator on the line is comfortable to engage with that person to help them with his or her idea,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed to they feel that they've got to try and do that all on their own. Or coming back to your earlier point, John, is they don't even bother about it because they say, see, the CI crew will come round at some point and
Yeah.
do it for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that can lead to nowhere good. There be
Absolutely.
dragons.
Mm.
Absolutely.
We talked about before. I enjoy and get involved a lot in creating. I call them mini me's as shorthand, but
Mhm.
lean experts, lean facilitators, lean thinkers within companies, so that they don't need the likes of us.
Yeah.
So I'm certainly really content and see the value in having lean thought within a business as a skill set, and you probably got a
Mhm.
persons in
Mhm.
there. But I would like to see that person or persons being called, as you put it, to the shop floor because they've had an idea.
Mhm.
Pull
And
rather than push.
yeah, and in terms of the training, the sheep dip, as Alan puts it, um, yes, these people have got the ability to deploy some training on 5S in a factory standard way, and it'll be brilliant. But although they could do some events where they say, oh, we're going to share this 5C technique, 5S
Mhm.
technique with so many people a week, could do that. It's far better if they're called to an area where they say, well, we got this idea where we need to have our own 10 mil spanner each. Why? Because we spend more time looking for 10 mil spanners than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right, okay. What's happening with the 10 mil spanners? We lose them, we put them in places, they all end up in Bert's pocket, all the rest of it. That's where your lean central person might be good enough to say, right, so your measure of success is you're not looking for 10 mil spanners. We could fix it by getting 32 of them and everybody having their own, and then we'll replace 2 a month. Or we could look at 5S from the angle of it's there to reduce loss of 10 mil spanners.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I could do that. Right, I'll go away and have a little think, and I'll come back and I'll do a training session with you and your guys on 5S with a real bias towards that's the measure of success.
Yeah.
I think that's good use of that central resource.
Because they understand how to
You
use it to
you
solve
don't want an office
a
full of
problem. Yeah.
loads of lean people.
Yeah.
You want one, two people in the average size business who've got the headspace and the knowledge to be able to do that sort of stuff well.
Mm.
Can you do too much Kaizen? That was a question. I feel we've answered it.
Yeah.
Um,
And we should probably wrap up there on this one. Before we go, can I give you the new feature because Japanese word of the
yes.
week got retired because we ran out of my Japanese.
Yes.
All the
So
clean ones,
Welsh
anyway.
word of the
Yeah,
week. No.
all that's left is swear words that were shouted at me between 1999 and January 2000.
That'll be a separate podcast
Yeah.
for a very special audience.
So this one, this particular feature, then we'll carry this on for a bit. I think I'm gonna give you a quote that I read somewhere that's related to lean, or I heard somewhere that I think is really interesting and is useful. So this came from Olaf Bertger. I think it's Bertger. He's on LinkedIn. He puts a lot of stuff out, and he said Hiring consultants to lead your lean transformation is like hiring somebody to go to the gym for you, which I really
Okay.
like.
Yes, I absolutely agree, says the consultant.
Yes. And maybe in a future episode, we can explore, well, what's the point of people like us then, if that's the case?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to listen to yet another podcast. If you are listening slash watching on YouTube, as most of you do, then please feel free to drop us a comment in the area below this video, and we will get back to you and reference it, and maybe even do an episode. If you are listening on any of the other platforms, then email us, send us an email. Where would they like to send the email, Russell?
Word Shergon at gmail.com, which I think Alan raised last week.
However, I would possibly recommend going with a recommendation by Alan. Al, where would you like them to send them?
I'd so much hope they'd sent them to therestislean@gmail.com.
Yeah, I prefer that too.
No, I don't. Whatever.
Cheers, not in.
So, thank you very much for watching, guys. Thanks to all our new subscribers, and we'll see you again real soon on
Cheers, everyone. See
Disney.
you soon.
Cheers.
Bye.